Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
Alright, we're back. You're now listening to The Late Show with Kid Adams, brought to you by IPL Radio. I'm just having a chat with Mac from Macs Power Cardboard Collectables. And what was that last track we're listening to, Mac?
Another great Aussie band, mate, Skeggs, with Fantasizing. I think that came out about last year, somewhere thereabouts.
Yeah, beautiful, man. You brought in some good tracks tonight, eh? So, here to talk about some trading cards and stuff like that. Where's the trading card game at the moment? Do you think it's growing, more people getting involved and stuff?
Oh, it's huge, mate. So I guess really starting from late 2018, moving into 2019, there's been a real boom in the AFL card market, especially. You know, a lot of people are coming over from NBA and stuff like that, where the price points to get involved in NBA now are pretty out of reach for a lot of people.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What? The old basketball cards?
Yeah, especially with the new ones. I mean, there's so many companies making them now, and there's so many different price points and stuff. But for the most part, you know, you pay sort of $400 or $500 for a box that's got, like, you know, 30 cards in it.
Far out.
Yeah, and that's just standard release stuff. That's
what
not
would you expect to get out of a box like that?
Oh, I mean, you hope you get something good at that price point.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, is there any guarantees there that you're getting sort of?
It's always a gamble. I mean,
really?
To be honest, I mean, let's be real. The trading card game is gambling in a sense.
But is the money in it, like, you sort of had that outlay on a box? Are you sort of guaranteed to it's going to be your value, going to get your money back?
Not so much in NBA. Like in NBA, you do have the chance to hit these massive sort of, you know, these massive $100,000 cards. But
so you could open a box and potentially be at a loss straight away.
Very much so. And to be honest, when I'm opening boxes, I mean, I assume that I'm not getting that money back because, you know, you know, that way you're never disappointed for one. But yeah, also it's there's no guarantee.
And is it the same in AFL with some of the stuff you open?
AFL's a lot different. That's why I think a lot of people are coming over from NBA to AFL.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Select, who are the guys who make most of the AFL cards, the main ones anyway. There's a couple of other companies that do it, but yeah, Select have been gotten really good at you know, the value in the box versus the price point of the box is better than it's ever been. I think if you look at from where it's come into, even back as early as 2018, 2019, the quality of the product has gotten a lot better with more people pumping more money into the hobby than the people who run the hobbies, as in the card makers, then have more money to spend on better product.
So is that like, as in like the holographic cards and stuff like that, or the actual cards themselves are better quality? So because if you get a good card, you're not even meant to take it out and feel it, are you? So.
I mean, it's yours to do with whatever you like. I mean, there is a big thing with grading cards and stuff, but yeah, mostly just around the quality of release in general. So, you know, the cards just aren't, you know, like a tacky bit of cardboard with a picture of a footy player on anymore. You know, they're a bit thicker. They're you know, and
I've seen a couple of the ones you get that are what, about 10 mil thick or a bit more?
Close to that, probably about 5. But yeah, so Supremacy, that's That was they did a release of Supremacy 2019 and 2021, and it's a very high end release. It's for serious collectors. It's not the kind of stuff you're getting out of packets at the Servo or at Woolies or anything like that. You know? But yeah, so you know, when that came out, I think that was about I think it was $800 for a box, and the box has 10 cards in it.
Far out.
Yeah.
And so obviously works out about $80 a card. And what's the chances that each one of those cards is going to be worth that value?
That was one of the releases that Select did a really good job of making sure that for the most part you got pretty close to your value out of it. I mean, I think with mine, I mean, I'm just trying to remember off the top all the cards that I got out of it, but I'd say that there's about $1,000 worth of raw product in that box.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I didn't move much of it on. Like, you know, I'm a collector, not a card flipper.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll sell the odd thing here or there, but mainly I'm just trading to get cards that I want.
The ones that you want, and stuff like
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
So yeah, look, it's pretty crazy. I think as well with the whole COVID thing in 2020, with you know, people looking for hobbies they can do while in isolation.
Yeah.
You know, ordering a box of cards online, that's some fun you can have at home. You know, you can get the kids involved. You know, they can rip some packs as well and all that sort of stuff, you know. So
those sort of servo packs and stuff you mentioned, and I went into the AFL store a couple of weeks back and I brought one of those just little packs and stuff like that. Can you still get something decent in them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the way Select normally work is they'll do like a base release at the start of the year, which at the moment is sort of your footy stars.
Yeah.
It's been Footy Stars since I think 2018, and then it was Champions before that. But that's kind of like your entry level product. That's the kind of stuff you can buy a few packs for the kids.
That's the other thing.
They can take them to school.
Where's a good place to start and stuff? So.
Yeah, so I'd say with the Footy Stars, and then with Team Coach as well. Team Coach is made by, I don't know if it's still Channel 10, but Channel 10 had a part in it early anyway, but that's actually like an online game. So you get the code on the back of the card, you go to the Team Coach website, you enter your codes, and then I think, there's some sort of scoring thing. I've never done the online game.
Like a fantasy football league
I think it's similar to that, but to be honest, it's actually one side of it I've never really gotten into too much. The cards are okay, but it's definitely more marketed towards sort of the, your school kids sort of collector and stuff like that. But
cool, man.
But yeah, to answer your question, can you still whip something good? I mean, in the Footy Stars, the big hit was the Virtuosos. Yeah. Now it's a card numbered to 60.
And that's the sort of thing you can find just in the generic packs.
In the generic packs, yeah. I mean, I think it's a one in. I think they're about 1 in 800 packs or something like that. So they're not easy to find, but so they shouldn't be.
I mean, still out there,
Each player has well, not each.
And that's
each
where the
player.
value is in them.
Yeah,
obviously,
but they're numbered to 60. So if you've got a Nick Nat Nui Virtuoso, you've got one card, and there's only 60 of them in the world.
Yeah,
so,
and the jumper number can be a thing as well.
Jumper numbers and 01s are the big one.
Right.
So there's a bit of a thing with basketball cards. A lot of people look for 1, 2, 3 of 400 or stuff like that. The jersey numbers change a bit more often than they do in footy, so it's not as big a deal. But 01s and jumper numbers, big thing for AFL cards. Pretty much will double the value of a card if you get the 01 or the jumper number of the player on the card.
Shit, that's all right. It's something to look out for. Anyway, let's we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get back. But let's go to a couple more tracks for now. What have we got coming up next off your playlist, Mac?
We'll take it back to not take it back to the modern pop punk days of Angels and Airwaves with ex-Blink-182 frontman Tom DeLonge's new band. They've been around for a while, but good times.
Yeah,
Keep
beautiful.
it uplifting. Have a bit of fun with it,
Yeah, nice one. Let's check it out. All right, and we are back. You're listening to Kit Adams on the Late Night Show with Kit. I'm just having a chat with Mac from Mac Power's Cardboard Collectables, and that was just a track off Mac's playlist. What was that we're listening to, Mac?
A bit of Mo Louder and The Humble with Curse the Weather.
Yeah, nice track, man. And just talking to Mac about a few of his trading cards and stuff like that. I know you do a lot of AFL card openings on your channels and stuff like that, but what about sort of Pokemon cards, basketball cards and stuff like that? And you get into some of that jazz as well?
Do a little bit of it. I've done a little bit of Pokemon stuff on the channel. Definitely not my most highest rated videos. I think. I think
doesn't have the same following as the AFL cards.
Funnily enough,
I thought the Pokemon would be pretty big.
Huge. I just don't think with my very small demographic.
Right. You've got to sort of build
a few hundred people, but I mean the Pokemon cards thing's huge. I mean we all saw Logan Paul with his PSA graded 10 Charizard around his neck for the Floyd Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
Which sort of brought, I think, it even just shone even more of a light on that. But yeah, Pokemon's been booming for a while. Heaps of channels out there covering Pokemon and stuff like that. And the basketball, like I said, the modern basketball stuff I'm not that big on. I like the old sort of 90s.
I was going to say, I remember the basketball cards being huge back in the day when I was growing up and stuff. But that was around like the Michael Jordan days, Shaq days. Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, all that sort of jazz.
Yeah,
were you into it back then?
Absolutely, mate. I was a fiend. I used to I think about 93, 94 was when I was really into it, and I was only probably about 8 years old then. And I remember I'd get my $5 pocket money a week, and we lived in Freo, so I'd march up to Atwell Arcade where Al's card shop was, and I'd go in there and I'd make my mum wait outside the shop so I could look like I was just, an 8-year-old hanging in a card shop by myself. I was that cool back then.
Got to keep the street cred.
Yeah, exactly. So, mum would be out the front. I'd be in there sort of wheeling and dealing, doing trades with people in there. And
nice.
It was a really good atmosphere, actually. Al's card shop's still running. They've still got a bricks and mortar shop in the city on Wellington Street. Yeah.
Stood the test of time?
But they were great. They'd always look out for me as well, say, no, don't make that trade. You're getting ripped off there, mate. And, give the older bloke a bit of a clip round the ear for trying to rip off the kids.
Really? Is there any sort of cards that you knew you had back in the day that you'd wish you'd done better with or held on to or you'd sort of traded too soon?
I knew you were going to ask me this, and I knew this would come up. It is a bit of a touchy subject. I did have a lot of them until recently. I don't have them anymore. We'll just leave them at that. Yeah, but there was a few. So Some of the Michael Jordan stuff I had back in the day was pretty good. I never had a Scoring Kings. That's the big one from back there, which is coming along now. But I've actually just recently started to recoup a few of the old Jordans. So
and what does something like that trade for?
Oh, so a PSA 10 Jordan Scoring Kings, which is really hard to get right now because the old school cards, because they were such glossy finishes, they'd stick together a bit now. So it's called bricking.
Oh, right.
So sometimes you'll get these boxes of old cards, you open them up, and the whole pack of cards is all stuck together.
Oh,
and
right.
And as you're peeling them
destroying
away,
them.
it chips away some of the artwork and stuff. But if you get a PSA 10 Michael Jordan Scoring Kings from the Flair Ultra 93-94 Series 2, I want to say, you're looking at about 10 grand.
Yeah, right.
So I see them pop up on eBay, not graded, and I always try to watch the auctions and see what they're going for. I think there's one on there now. There's a few days left on the auction. I think it's sitting at currently about $500, but it's not graded, so you don't know what. There's only so much condition you can see out of there.
It looks like it's been in just the case the whole time.
I mean, it looks okay.
Yeah, it's not like sort of brick like you said. Some of them are.
It doesn't look too chipped. It looks like it's in pretty good nick, but yeah, there's a lot of those sort of cards. But it really surprised me how cheap a lot of those old ones are as well. So, like I've been picking up, like I got a Michael Jordan Skybox Center Stage. I think I picked that up for $25. I got the Flair Ultra Series 1 93-94 Jordan famous nickname. So I don't even remember the cards. They had the player, they had the wooden board on the side, and then they had their nickname written up the side of the card.
Yeah, right.
So I just picked up a Jordan one of those for like $50. So it's not the gold mine people think it is when they think, I got to get all my old cards out. They must be worth
a little bit of nostalgic value and stuff though. Or?
Well, that's the best thing about it for me. I mean, cool. Hanging out, I remember, everyone would hang out in the quadrangle at primary school and we'd all have our folders out, trading cards. None of us probably knew what we were doing. We really probably should have had someone who, who knew what they were doing there, sort of facilitating.
As long as you're having a bit of fun though. But yeah, sort of mediator, making sure there's no one getting ripped off. But
there's some people I know in footy card collecting who have, who their kids have gone to school and maybe made some trades where, they've given someone a $5 card and they've got back like a $400 card and the kids just aren't aware and they've, rung the parents of the other kid and said, look, just so you know, like this has happened. I've told my son to return the card to yours.
Really?
Because I'm not saying there was any ill will in it.
Yeah.
But I just don't think
they
they're
just
aware
weren't
of
aware of
what
what they were trading.
And I think that's something where, especially when you got kids coming into the hobby as well, it's good that the parents have a little bit of knowledge and can kind of see what's going on there with that. And
sometimes kids don't realise what they've got in their hands.
Absolutely.
All right, I probably should have loaded up a couple more of your other tracks during that last song. What are we going to have coming up next?
Coming up next, we are going to have a little bit of Future Islands with Long Flight. Nice sort of, uplifting-ish kind of track.
Yeah,
I think
cool,
got a
man.
fair bit of play on that big youth radio station that's tied to the ABC. Can't quite remember their name, but I think we all know the one that I'm talking about.
Yeah, we all know that one. It's not a bad station there. They do a bit of good work over there.
Yeah, a couple of letters in the title, or three. I can never remember.
I think, I'm pretty sure it's three of them there. But yeah. Anyway, let's get into this Long Flight Future Islands. Having a little chat with Mac from Macs Power Cardboard Collectables, and we've just had Brendan stop in to talk a little bit of apparently trading cards stretches far and wide. You've got a little bit of experience with it yourself.
Oh, look, I used to collect... thanks for having me on your show, Kit.
No, you're all right, mate. Pleasure.
I used to collect trading cards for years. I'm a big James Bond fan.
Yeah.
Right? I've got autographed books. I've got... the
autograph by who? Which Bond?
Roger Moore.
Oh, right. yeah, nice.
Roger Moore's autographed autobiography.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Far out.
What else? I've got the little corgi cars and everything that were released, and I've got figures and so forth, and I've got about 3 sets of the movies, and
far out.
Stickers and you name it. But I've got James Bond cards.
Trading cards. Even James Bond had trading cards.
Even James Bond had trading cards, and you can still get more trading cards every time there's a new movie coming out. There's a whole
really still.
Yeah.
So even for this one just gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
All the time, man.
So I find that interesting. So with the with sort of like the inserts and sort of the, you know, you'll have your standard sort of cards. So they come with sort of like special editions as well. So you might have, you know, just your standard sort of like
Like a
commons.
holographic
And then-
bond or something.
Yeah.
Yep. No,
And
there were some of them.
So with AFL cards, you know, normally they'll number the print run. So let's say there's only 60 of a certain card made, and then each card would be numbered something, you know, 5 of 60, 1 of 60, or, you know. So I'm wondering if the cards are numbered over 100 where there's a 3 number, obviously everyone's chasing the 007.
The 007 card. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, unless you pull in
That's interesting.
the Alec Trevelyan, you know, then you get the 006.
006. Yeah. And like signature cards and stuff like that.
I think there might have been some signature cards. I don't remember.
Yeah. And how do you feel about how the last movie wrapped up?
I haven't seen the
Spoiler
last movie.
alert.
Don't tell me. I haven't seen
really?
it. I haven't seen it. Don't say anything.
All right. I'm not going to say
Don't
anything.
say
I'll keep that
anything.
quiet. Anyway, we'll
But
just
I
keep
have-
it about the collectibles for now.
But I have heard that. What was his name? The new
Daniel
James Bond.
Craig.
Yeah, but there's supposed to be a new James Bond, and he's a young guy. I can't think. He was one of the Spider-Men.
Tom Holland?
Oh, right.
Maybe
Tom Holland, Andrew
Tobey Maguire,
Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
It wasn't Tobey Maguire. It wasn't Andrew Garfield. It must be Tom Holland.
See,
Yeah,
I
So,
think
right.
he's
so
gonna
it
go
looks
with
like he's going to be the next Bond. Now,
Really?
he's only about 24.
Yeah.
Oh, they must go full prequel with it or
so,
something.
I'm guessing that it's going to be a real origins.
Yeah, so him
story
coming
now,
up through the academy, maybe learning his craft, all that. That's a cool thought. I
All
like
that
that.
Skyfall, that was what a lot of Daniel Craig about. That Skyfall, that lodge where he did all his training and stuff, and I imagine it'd be a lot of that if
Maybe
they're
there'll
doing
be a lot
prequel.
more in there. It'd be cool.
I like
Yeah.
that as an idea for a Bond film. You know, going back to where it all began. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
you can't have not Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland.
Tom
you can't
Holland.
have Tom Holland running around there saying that he's 45-year-old James Bond. I mean,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, absolutely.
No.
With the
But,
same level of experience, but
Yeah, I mean, they did have, they were talking about having a female Bond, and I'm like, no. No.
Jamie Bond? Was that what they were
Jamie Bond.
Look,
That could
they
work.
wanted to try and make it sound, there was speculation that they were going to do a female Bond and that they were going to have her, and the way they were going to pass it off as James Bond is just a code name. No, 007 is
you can pass
Great
on
number.
the 007. You can't really
You
pass
can't-
on the name.
yeah.
So
but even still,
Fair enough.
you couldn't pass on 007 because in Goldfinger,
mm.
he said, if you kill me, 008 will replace me.
All right.
He never said they'll just get another 007.
Yeah, right.
So you can't pass on the number either.
yeah.
So don't, but I think if they wanted to have a female Bond, then just do a spin-off with Moneypenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She started getting out in the field in the Daniel Craig films.
Yeah.
So they could have easily done a Moneypenny spin-off. I don't know how successful it would have been.
Yeah.
And the fans would have probably been, you're just cash grabbing.
Yeah. Just a spin off to make a little bit more money while it's.
But who knows?
I think it is it's a what's the word? It's a series. It's probably a series that needs something new coming to it in a way. I mean, I know
Yeah.
that
It
the
does.
actors
I
change.
would
Yeah,
have
they
been
can't
okay.
just keep recycling the same thing.
I would
so.
have been okay if they had a person of colour,
Yeah,
I would have been
like
okay
the
with
idea
that.
of Idris Elba doing it. I think he would have been great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
but not a female because it's supposed to be. He's supposed to be a male misogynist pig.
Yeah.
But then, of course, if they did go with a female Bond with
Well, she'd
all the
become just a
male
son.
Bonds, you get the Bond girls. Would you then get a Bond guy?
It
I
wouldn't
hope so.
work.
I hope so.
But it wouldn't work.
And,
It just wouldn't work.
Anyway, let's get back into another song here. What do we got up next, Mac?
Coming up next, we have got Holly Holly, another great Aussie band with the starting line.
Yeah, beautiful. I like this
Yeah,
track.
again, a nice fun one.
All right, you're back with The Late Show with Kid Adams. I'm joined by Mac from Macs Power Cardboard Collectables, and also Brent's in the studio at the moment. And we've gone a little bit off collectibles. We're talking a little bit about movies and stuff now, but it's all good. So Brent was just talking about the new Buzz Lightyear movie.
Yeah, Lightyear. Fantastic film. It was different to Toy Story.
Yeah.
It was more like a more cartoonish than, or it's still computer cartoon, but it was more cartoonish than Toy Story was. If that makes sense.
When I first heard about it, I thought, oh, it's just another cash grab and stuff, just sort of milking the whole Toy Story thing. And
it was really good.
I was a little bit off it, but then the kids put it on, and I sort of got sucked into it a little bit.
I saw the trailer and I was very excited. I haven't seen it yet, but I haven't seen it because I don't have Disney Plus at home. I don't have any kids.
I'm excited. I want to see it, so I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about it. It was pretty good, the take on it.
I took Alfie, he was 2 in May, right? And he loves Buzz Lightyear. Well, he loves Toy Story, but he asked for Buzz.
For Buzz.
He always asks for Buzz, so Buzz is his favourite.
Nice.
Right?
First name basis too.
I know.
Not Mr. Lightyear.
So I took him to see Lightyear. It was the only film I've taken him to that he's actually sat all the way through.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, it's Walt Disney. It's Disney Pixel, whatever it's called, right?
Yeah.
And they've gone political correctness. They have a same-sex marriage in there.
Yeah, right.
So it's Buzz Lightyear's female, what do you call it? Like, almost like, not like a co-host. What's the word?
A co-pilot.
Yeah, we'll say co-pilot.
Yeah.
They get stranded on this planet. Excuse me. And then they've got to. He's always trying to
finish the mission.
Trying to finish the mission in order
to get everybody back safe and stuff.
Because until they finish the mission, he can't get off the planet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so there's all these other people there, but she marries a female, and then they have a kid.
I don't know. I think that sort of
it's inclusive. I mean,
it's inclusive. I get it. I get it.
There is diversity everywhere and stuff, but I sort of understand what you're saying. They do try and sort of crowbar it into every show now to sort of make people aware of the diversity. And but it is there, man. So
well, it didn't drive the story, but it didn't slow the. It
didn't really detract from the story, but yeah. It was also I suppose help other people sort of relate to the story as well, So I sort of brought a demographic.
I imagine though that I'm definitely not homophobic, but I imagine that homophobic people would be sitting there going, "Oh, this is BS. This is why is this being pushed down our kids' throats and all the rest of it."
To be honest, I'm not too concerned if they don't have a problem with it, but it is what it is, man.
I think it's good in a way that if these things are put into these films in a common way, it sort of it normalizes it. So kids watching these films say, oh yeah, cool, like there's 2 girls getting married, great.
Yeah.
And then they don't, as they get older, they then hold on to those values that it's not a big deal, and that it is pretty normal. And I don't know. I just think like normalizing that sort of stuff's really good. I mean, look, sometimes it does feel a bit rammed down your throat on certain things. Like I said, I haven't seen the Buzz movie, so I won't speak on that. But yeah,
I recommend it.
Yeah, cool.
Definitely a good movie, man.
Yeah,
and
nice. I thought the trailer looked amazing. Like the animation looks really.
Yeah, I didn't actually see the trailer. I just got caught watching the movie because of the kids. I heard about the movie coming out and I seen it on the screen and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I'll chuck this on for the kids and stuff. But
nice.
I first was thought, oh yeah, they're just trying to milk a little bit more money out of the Toy Story franchise.
No.
But then the actual movie and what they did with that and how they sort of tied it back into the original movies as well.
Yeah,
it was
nice.
had those.
Did they get Tim Allen to voice Buzz?
Nah, apparently they didn't. But
because he's a bit problematic.
So
these days, right? Like,
do you sort of know? I don't know what they showed in the preview. Do you sort of know the gist of the storyline?
Kinda, like they like go through a wormhole. They get lost somewhere. They got to find their way back.
So I suppose I should. It's what you'll see straight at the start of the movie anyway. This is the movie based on the movie Andy watched just before he got the Buzz Lightyear doll. So it's not actually the Tim Allen Buzz Lightyear doll that's in the original
right.
movies.
It's Chris Evans.
It's the
Nice,
really?
Yeah, cool.
Chris Evans plays
Captain
Buzz
America.
Lightyear.
Wow, Captain America played Buzz Lightyear as well. So yeah, it's based on the movie that inspired Andy to get that doll, which made the movies in the first place. So, but I heard that as well, sort of before I seen the movie, is that apparently they didn't even ask Tim Allen to do it, and I was a little bit like, why wouldn't you? Yeah. But then after I watched it, I was sort of like, all right, I understand that now. But
so Tim Allen wasn't Buzz Lightyear. He just did the voices for the dolls.
Just the dolls, it was just the voice for the dolls. Because apparently Chris Evans wouldn't hanging around for the actual merchandise, so they had to get Tim Allen to, and that's how we got stuck with Tim Allen for the first 4 movies.
Yeah, right. It's funny. It's cool. It's really interesting how they can do that retrospectively like that. It's very clever.
Anyway, let's get into another track. Keep rolling through some of the playlists that you brought in for us. What have we got coming on?
I'm going to bid you guys a good night, so thank you for having me on the show.
No, that's all right, Brendan. Anytime, mate. It's been nice to get a little bit of different perspective and to find out a little bit about James Bond collectibles as well, So I didn't realise how far collectibles go sometimes in trading cards.
1962 was the corgi for the release of the Aston Martin Db5.
Really?
Yeah, with the ejector seat and the little man that pops out and the little bullets, little guns at the front and the bulletproof windscreen and the rotating numbers, everything. And it was it wasn't your shiny gold thing. It was like your it was gold paint, but it was like your like car paint, like enamel.
Gold.
Yeah,
it was like like the same sort of paint that you would find on a car.
Yeah.
Instead of the shiny
like toy car paint.
Well, they had they brought out for the 50th anniversary of Bond. They brought out the shiny gold ones, which looked like someone spray painted them with a gold spray can.
Yeah. Just cheap and nasty.
Yeah, I didn't like them.
Yeah,
I didn't like them. I think I've got one of them because it was the 50th anniversary. But my brother bought me the 1962 version, and I've had that for many years. It's got little things that come out on the wheels and everything. The things that were supposed to have.
So it comes with the gadgets.
Yeah, it has all the gadgets on it.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Fantastic.
Far out. Oh man, it's a pleasure having you on. Thanks for taking a little time with us and stuff. But yeah, we'll get stuck back into a little bit of music now. The next track we got coming up, Mac.
Next track we got coming up is great local Frio band, Pond.
All right, you're back listening to the Late Night Show with Kit Adams. I'm here with Mac from Mac Power Cardboard Collectables, and we're just going through some of his playlists. What was that track we're listening to, Mac?
One of my favourite bands, the Hold Steady with Chips Ahoy. Just a song about having a good time. Let's just leave it at that.
Nice track, man. Cool, so we're just chatting some trading cards and stuff, and just wanted to ask, where's all the big money at in cards like AFL cards, mainly the stuff that you're
Well, the big thing
showing
at the moment, which has been the big thing for the last couple of years, is the Richmond tax.
Yeah.
As it's known in the hobby. So, and the Dusty tax on top of that. So Dusty
right,
Martin,
because you're coming off the Richmond dynasty of three in a row.
3 flags. Dusty, what do you win? 3 Norm
Three
Smiths.
Norm Smiths as well.
So he's pretty much the most collected player out there, and pretty much any card with Dusty on it is already worth a few $100 more than the same card without Dusty on it. So I mean,
a few $100,
and then some, depending on what the card is. If you've got like a $1,000 Patrick Cripps card, the same card with Dusty on it's probably worth $2,000, $2,500, something like that. So the Dusty tax is real, but it's sort of we're at a funny point now with all that because obviously there's uncertainty whether Dusty's going to be at Richmond next year. Is he going to move to Sydney? Is he going to move to another club? Whether that affects his legacy in the hobby long term, maybe not so much. But I personally think it's a good buy low time on Dusty cards at the moment. I think. Or maybe sort of if Dusty leaves Richmond and goes to play for a team like Sydney or gets out of Victoria, gets away from that big footy bubble.
I've heard that's sort of what he wants to get away from, is sort of get out of that intense sort of pressure cooker sort of atmosphere.
He's not one for the
footy.
limelight and the media and all that kind of stuff. But I think if he moves to a second club, it could be a good buy low opportunity for card investors. Looking at something like his draft pick signature, which Recently was selling for about $1,500. I think now you can sort of pick them up for about $800.
And is that his sort of pre-tat days? I've heard you talk about that before.
Yeah, pre-tat days. So that would be, I think, the 2009 draft, if memory serves me correctly, is when Dusty got picked up. So it's I think there's 800 of them in total out there.
Yeah.
You know, obviously a picture of him when he gets drafted. It's got his hand signature on the card. It's not a sticker signature.
Yeah, right.
And Dusty doesn't sign. That's the big thing. So like with Dusty signatures, Dusty doesn't sign. It's just something that.
So every one of them is a sticker or stamp on the card?
So the ones he has done are worth so much because he does so little with the signing. So he had a signature card in this year's set which still isn't redeemable because he hasn't actually yet gone in to sign the cards.
Really?
So that was I think as we were speaking earlier about the Footy Stars, there was a really big hit in the Footy Stars release, the Virtuoso signature.
Yeah.
The Richmond one was Dusty Martin, but you still can't redeem your card. So what they'll do, they'll put an insert into the card that says this is a signature redemption.
Really?
You then send that off to Select, and they'll send you the signed cards back.
Wow.
Dusty hasn't signed his yet, and the redemptions aren't going through just yet.
And so is that a regular thing where you get the signature redemption thing? Or?
Yeah, and it's mainly just based around a logistic point of view. So you know they're usually a year ahead. So when they're planning, they're probably already planning next year's sets much earlier this year. So So they get all these, and then especially with the draft pick signatures, when the young kids get signed up to an AFL club, especially if they get sent over to WA, where Select in Sydney, is there going to be an opportunity for someone, for one of these young kids to go over to Sydney just to sign 300 cards with their face on it. So a lot of the time you will get a redemption, and then you just package that up nice and safe, send that off to the Select, and then they'll send you your card back when it's ready to go.
And so you're better off just sending that straight to Select, and they'll sit on it, and they have your details, and as soon as they're signed, they'll send it out, or?
Yeah, I'd be holding them.
Would you hold the redemption card?
You get the redemption card back.
Have you had any redemption cards?
I've got a few at home that I haven't sent away yet.
Really?
It's something I've probably got to, get me butt into gear and actually.
And are
do
they
it.
ones that you expect quick response from, or?
Oh yeah, for the most part, they're ones that are already there, ready to go. It's just a lot of the time, it's just they've got a shipping date, they've got a packing date where they have to have sealed product in boxes ready to ship to stores.
Yeah,
and
right.
Sometimes the cards just aren't 100% ready. So there's redemptions for non-signature cards and stuff as well. Sometimes they just don't have the sets ready in time.
That would just cost them more in doing duplicate cards in the end. But
it's kind of cool because you get the set as well, so you sort of get to put your signed card next to your redemption card. It's got the little hole punched in it to say that it's been redeemed.
Yeah, right.
And it kind of adds a nice little sort of touch to it like that. You can say, look, I actually had to send away to get this one back. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Kind of adds a little bit of fun to it. Like that.
And is there any grading involved in that process, or you just know that when you get it back, it's mint condition, or?
Well, no. So Select don't do gradings.
How do you get them graded?
There's a lot of independent companies doing grading at the moment. PSA is the main one in the States. You've got PSA and Beckett. They're the big American ones.
And is that just trading cards?
They'll do other things as well. So
I've actually got some comic books
that
I wouldn't mind getting graded at.
Yeah, PSA especially will do comic books, like old video games in the packaging and stuff like that.
I've got this comic book. It's a Deadpool Venom comic book when they came together and made Venom Pool for like the first time, but it's got a variant cover. And I'm like, I didn't even realize, I just went through a stage of collecting Deadpool. I go down to the local comic book store for a while, collecting all the Deadpool, whatever came out, and they're like, put this one aside for you. Yeah. Grabbed it, put it away. Never even read the thing, I just put a lot of them away in their plastic sleeves and stuff like that.
So it's like, it's in good nick.
It's still in really good nick, man. And I almost sold it once, and some dude was like all over it. I thought, I better just Google this and find out what's going on here. Found out a comic that I paid like $5.95 for is now worth like $350 US.
Yeah,
but that's like a graded one and stuff, you know. So
and with the alternative art too, like that's a big thing in Pokemon trading cards. They have the alternative art, the alt art cards that come out. They're always pretty highly sought after compared to your normals, but yeah, man, that sounds pretty cool. I know nothing about
so I've just been sitting it on now. I just sort of tucked it away and stuff, and I've sort of been interested in sort of what's involved in the process of getting stuff graded.
With the blowing up of the MCU and the whole Marvel universe.
Deadpool's like I mean, I used to collect it when it was cool and stuff like that, you know, before it became mainstream. But I sort of literally did. Like, I was collecting Deadpool comics back from the 90s and stuff like that, you know, and then the market just got flooded with Deadpool merch as soon as that first Ryan Reynolds movie dropped.
Well, that almost makes the older, more genuine stuff a bit more legit too.
So I'm still sitting on a little bit, but man, back in those days, I didn't really care. I used to actually read the comics, and I'd sit there and I'd copy some of the drawing, all of that sort of stuff, man, you know. Yeah. So the older ones from the 90s are not in great shape, but the ones that I started collecting when I was older, that are sort of like 2005 onwards and stuff, they're ones that I barely even read most of them. So
there's some great local, well, I say local, as in Australian grading services. So you know, CGA is the big one, Card Grading Australia. That's where I send a lot of my stuff. But there's actually one based out of here down in Rockingham, Perth Card Grading.
Really?
Run by Scotty, who I actually didn't realise that I actually knew him before, but we had him in for the we had him with Perth Card Grading in for our trade day. The card trade fair that was down at Baller Sports Bar a few months ago, and he sort of moved into that market locally, so that's that's something you want to have a look at as well.
And have you thought about doing anything like that yourself? Like?
Nah, that's sort of a bit beyond my scope in a way. I mean, there's a lot of equipment that's required to do stuff like that.
Really?
I assume. I really actually, I wouldn't.
So it's not just going over with a magnifying glass and going like, you know what, this is a 9.6.
Nah, so you know, like I said, I don't know. From what I remember, me and Scott kind of had this conversation about sort of what's involved, but a lot of it, you know, it's involved, you know, UV lighting.
Really?
Yeah, like gridding, so you can make sure the centering of the card is all legit. So, you know, especially in Pokemon,
if it's printed off center and stuff like that.
Which is a big thing with any cards that have borders, like a Pokemon card has that yellow border or the blue border.
It's got to be
around
exactly
the
the same all the way around.
You know, so that'll be the difference between, let's say, your CGA 9, your Gem Mint 9s, and then your pristine 10s. You know, so the card might be in perfect condition. I mean, I've even had, even a fingerprint on the card, even if it's something that can be wiped away, if you send it in with a fingerprint on it, that'll be included in grading. So you've got to be really careful about how you handle your cards before you send them in. I actually sent two. Excuse me. I actually sent two rookie cards off for grading last year from the Select Optimum series. One was the #1 pick, Jamari Ugle-Hagan. The other was Archie Perkins, who I think I went pick 5, 6, or 7 to Essendon. Both of them I pulled straight out of the box, put into sleeves, put into top loaders, sent them away. The Jamari Ugle-Hagan came back as a near mint 8.5, and the Archie Perkins came back as a pristine 10. And that could have literally have just been that I just put my finger on the card and left a thumbprint on it or something.
Turned it from a 10 to an 8.5.
Yeah, because the centering and the condition on both look pretty identical. So, you know, I'm assuming it could be something like that. Again, you can, with CGA, I actually didn't do this, but with CGA, you can actually request a written report of every card that you send in, and it explains the grading. Wow. And I think I'll always opt to do that from now on, because more not so much because I want to sort of complain about it, but more so I can get my head around what they're looking for. How you've got
to handle it in the future and stuff like that.
And what factors actually affect the grading and stuff like that. So it's super interesting. But, you know, like I said, like a good, you know, a high-graded card, let's say it's a PSA, a CGA 10, you know, I think the big ones, going back to the Richmond and the Dusty thing, one of the big cards that's sort of getting around at the moment is just his base rookie card. So the first ever common card that he appeared on in his rookie year is the first card that he appeared on at AFL level that isn't his draft pick signature card. That's your base rookie card. So a lot of people now are buying up these Dusty Martin based rookie cards and getting them graded, trying to get that pristine 10, because then that turns like a $10 to $20, $30 card into maybe a $500, $600 card. You know, I sent a few away. I got a couple of 9.5s and a 9, but I didn't get that elusive pristine 10, unfortunately.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, grading's a whole other kettle of fish. I actually find.
And what's
really
the sort of turnaround like when you send it away and stuff like that?
A couple of months.
Really?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, you know, there's, like I said, there's thousands of people in the hobby at the moment. You know, tens of thousands probably in AFL at the moment.
Yeah, right.
like we were saying before, the explosion of just the amount of people in the hobby. So
They're coming into it.
late 2019, Select released their Series 2, which is always kind of their sort of higher end release after a Footy Stars, and their Series 1.5, which is usually Prestige.
Yep.
You know, this stuff comes out, say, in 2019. Now, you could still buy a case of some of these cards, which is about 8 boxes. So 836 is, you know, it's about 300 packets in a case. You could still buy that
Far
6
out.
months after release. Whereas now, there's so many more people in the hobby that Selector having to put box limits in. So now when they release these cards, there might be a limit of, say, 2 boxes per person, per address.
And you're seeing sort of stuff like scalpers coming through where they'll buy the boxes.
Huge.
Really?
Oh my God, it's
so
huge.
dudes that are just like,
So
as soon as they're released, and that's why they're putting the
Before
box
it's
limits
released.
in.
So before it's released. So
How the hell do they get it before it's
Well,
released?
they don't. They put their stuff off on eBay before they've actually secured products. So
Really?
So let's say just recently we had Brilliance come out. This is about 3 weeks ago. Really great set by Select. It's $150 a box. Each box has 1 card in it.
Yeah,
Really
I've seen you
high-end.
open some of those
Yeah.
brilliances. Yeah.
Oh, we had a really good video
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that one.
yeah,
We
it's
hit
good.
the
You
big
did
time.
good.
We hit
Yeah.
the big time.
I was going to ask about that card, but yeah.
But yeah, so like, so 150 bucks was the recommended retail price that Select put it out as. In the weeks leading up to it, it was appearing on eBay for like $500 a box before people had even got cards in hand, because it's now getting to the point where if you're not at your computer, where you're not logged into the Select website, you got your PayPal ready to go.
As soon as it drops,
you know, and as soon
really?
as it drops, you've got
Hit
about
refresh.
you've got about a minute.
Refresh.
You've got about a minute before it sells out. So with
And how many
Brilliance-
do they release?
So with Brilliance in particular, God, I can't remember off the top. I think it was about 3,400 boxes.
3,400 boxes, and you've got about a minute.
Under a minute. So they did their Series 2 last year was Optimum, and that was the same. That was 8,400 boxes sold out in about 2 minutes. So if you're not sitting there ready to go,
And so you're saying the recommended retail price is about $150
It was
per
$150
box,
for
and
Brilliance.
dudes were selling them over 3 times that
Absolutely.
before the drop
before they
even.
and they're not
How can
selling
they-
it. They're not selling it. They're just listing it. So it gets
Yeah.
listed on eBay.
People start getting interested. Oh, so
then they close.
if they don't get
But if
it, they
don't
just
get
pull the ad
pull
down.
the ad. Yeah.
Oh,
So there's a lot of that going on.
right.
And look, it does suck for collectors. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not. Say that it's a great thing for the hobby.
Yeah.
But it's inevitable. There's money to
Yeah.
be made. So you know, like people
There's
know
sort
that
of
it's market and demand.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And
because
there's-
at $150 a box, how often are you getting a card that's guaranteed to be worth $150 or more?
In Brilliance, I'd say that 90% of the cards are worth more than
right.
the retail price of the box. And I think that's
Yeah.
what made Brilliance such a good set, is that you're pretty much guaranteed return on investment.
Yeah.
And I think, and if you're like me, like I'm a team collector, I collect my West Coast cards. You know, if you pull your West Coast cards, great. But
Yeah.
if you don't, you can then trade the ones you do get forward. Like the trading community at the moment's huge.
Oh, right,
There's so
yep.
many forums and Facebook pages.
I was
and stuff
going to
like
ask
that.
about that. Sort of if you get into it and you do want to sort of network and stuff and trade your cards so
Yeah.
you can get the collections you want and stuff. and-
Yeah, it's huge, and there's some really good trusted pages out there where everything's above board, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Places like Really Good Vibes, the RGV pages, they're all pretty on point. They're
And
all
so
well monitored. And
if it's a Facebook and through the post, like you send the
Yeah,
card through the post,
through
it's
the
sort of
post.
on a system. And
honest to God, from the last few years, I've never spent so much time in a post office in all my life, mate.
Really?
Yeah, I'm down there with the padded mailers going.
Far
Yeah, it's
out.
wild. It's
And what's the like? Do you trust Australia Post with your cards when you're sort of wanting them to come back pristine and stuff? And
It's up to you. I'm a big exponent of that's up to you on to how you package your cards. Like so
Yeah.
there's a big thing. There's always discussions going on about the way stuff's packaged. So you know, I've received cards in the mail, just a card dropped in an envelope that's paper thin. And
Really?
it's just like, guys, this isn't it. You know, it's
I paid proper
it's-
money for that.
It's a card in a penny sleeve,
Yeah.
in a top loader or a one-touch like hard case,
Yeah.
in a padded mailer.
Yeah.
If it's just a top loader because they're bendy, you know, you want to have it sort of like wrapped in like a solid cardboard. So you know, it's the onus of the trader
Yeah.
to do the right thing by the people they're trading with to send cards correctly.
And so you get someone that from something you've never traded with before, and you know as soon as you feel the envelope, like, no, this is a pro trader, or
Yeah, and most people are pretty onto it now. Like most people who are out there in the card space, whether it be on YouTube or Insta or TikTok or Facebook or any of that kind of stuff, it's
Yeah, right.
a lot of most of the people who are into trading cards with people, or also into sort of like watching card content. So most of these people who run these other pages are pretty big on educating, and that's all it is. You know, it really is only people who are uneducated as to why you do things a certain way, that once they learn the lesson, or, you know, you might just sort of quietly pull them aside, sort of, you know, on Messenger, say, hey mate, just so you know, like,
not a
that's
mistake
not really,
I'd normally make twice.
Yeah, or you're like, that's not really how you pack a card. This is how you do it, you know, and tag them in a video or something like that.
Yeah,
you know, you just sort of spread that word and get that out there, so everyone knows that they're doing the right thing, and, you know, you don't end up, you know, with a $400 card that comes in with bent corners, and, you know, it's all cooked.
Like the trade nights, if you don't want to put them through the post and you do want to sort of target trade nights and sort of one-on-one trading and stuff, I know you've organised a couple before, but is that a common thing around Perth? And
not as common in Perth as I'd like. I think it's huge in Melbourne, obviously. You know, I mean, the thing is, most of the big card content creators, most of the big card hobby stores, and most of the big names in the community are all based in Melbourne, because it's a 10-team town, it's a footy town, and like WA, Perth's a footy town, but it's not like that, you know? So
they've got 10 teams sitting in there it's a pressure cook sort of situation.
So yeah, like there's a fair bit going on in the space, and yeah, like I said, you know, I remember seeing, it was just after I think it was just after Prestige was released this year, one of the other new sets, and I've seen footage of an Australia Post truck on fire on the side of the highway in Queensland, and all I'm thinking is, oh my god, I can't imagine how many people's cards are in that bloody truck.
Man, that's hilarious. Yeah, right. You don't think about that, eh?
Just little things like that, like even, you know, like the floods or whatever. I mean, down at Freo at the moment, we don't have a post office because the roof caved in the storm a few weeks ago. So I actually went down there to post some stuff last Monday, and it's like, post office is shut, the roof's caved in, there's crap everywhere.
And insurance on the postage and stuff like that? Or?
Yeah, I think you can purchase insurance for a package.
Yeah. But you got to be trading a pretty high-end card to worry about it? Or?
Yeah, if I was trading anything over sort of the, you know, $500 mark, I might look at, you know, maybe meeting up in person if it was someone based in WA, or maybe using a private courier company or something like that.
Yeah, right.
There's ways around it, but for the most part, I've been very lucky in my whole trading. Well, career is not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I've only ever not received one card.
Oh, really?
I've only lost one in the post once. You know, and. You know, it was $100. It wasn't the be all and end all. It was a pain in my butt because I had to source.
And genuinely lost in the post, or?
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, right. Was it someone you had traded with before? Or?
No, it wasn't. But you know, there's a good thing going with these Facebook pages where you can get vouchers. So you say like, oh, can I get a voucher for me and this guy we've never traded before? Yeah. A few people will chime in the comments.
So you've never traded with him, but people you know have traded with him, and they're happy to vouch for him and stuff like that.
And like I said,
that's cool, man.
It really is. You know, I think with the bigger influx of people, it's a community that's remained. It's been able to remain non-toxic for a long time, which is good
right.
Because, you know, like you get the odd knob in the group who, you know, constantly trying to, you know, wants to buy everything at the lowest price, but always wants to sell at the highest.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get a fair bit of that, and there is the odd scammer here and there.
And so you're looking for guys just doing a fair deal, or guys that are looking to trade just to sort of get their team that they're chasing and stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the way it works, you know, you'll pull a bunch of cards. You say, hey, look, I've got this. I'm looking to trade these for me, like a West Coast equivalent. Yeah. You know, hit me up. And generally people just get into the comments, and it's all pretty, like I said, it's all above board these days. You know, there's that much, you know, moderation, and the admins and all these pages are all hobby people, so they're all pretty clued in, and it's all pretty good.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, well, we might just chuck on another track for now. What have we got coming? We just had Chips Ahoy. What's going on next, man?
We got a track called Dark Days by local natives.
Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.